What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Former Vice Premier Zheng Wen-Can has been released on bail after being charged with corruption. Zheng paid bail of over $800,000 just a day after he was indicted. The Democratic Progressive Party heavyweight is accused of accepting bribes to redistrict a development project while he was mayor of Taoyuan City from 2014 to 2022. Prosecutors are requesting a 12-year sentence in the case. Some of Zheng's co-defendants have also been released on bail. Yet another high-profile lawmaker is facing questioning over corruption. It's the latest in a string of corruption cases involving politicians across the country's political spectrum. John Van Trieste reports.
Agents raid the office of Kuomintang legislator Sraka Cao before questioning him for hours afterwards. Prosecutors allege he accepted bribes from at least 5 green energy companies between 2020 and 2023. Now out on bail and barred from leaving the country, he faces increasing scrutiny as lawmakers from across the spectrum demand the case be handled swiftly and fairly.
该搜索就搜索，该办就办。那么，但是呢，绝对不要罗织罪名，然后政治办案就好。
希望勿枉勿纵，检方或者是司法调查能够尽快的还原真相。
But this is far from the only corruption scandal brewing, with politicians of all party affiliations in the crosshairs. It's not yet a week since ruling Democratic Progressive Party lawmaker Lin Yijin was bailed amid charges of embezzlement, and the former vice premier is facing bribery and corruption charges too. Meanwhile, Ko Wen-je, the chair and founder of the Taiwan People's Party, is also fighting back against criticism for using election subsidies to buy personal property. Even an official involved in an independent campaign is in trouble. Pingdong County Council Speaker Zhou Dianlun has just been sentenced to 4 years. Though a Kuomintang member, Zhou worked to help get independent candidate and electronics tycoon Terry Guo on the ballot in last year's presidential election. Prosecutors say he paid voters to sign the petition to make that happen. Zhou says he'll appeal, and his daughter says he's innocent, but prosecutors are standing firm.
可以认定，并非单纯用于支付联署的人事还有行政费用，而是可用来交付选民以换取联署书的贿赂。
President Lai Ching-te made stamping out corruption one of his campaign pledges. And while the ongoing investigations show that prosecutors aren't shy about going after graft and bribery, the number of cases shows the scale of the problem across Taiwan's political spectrum. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan is hosting a workshop on human trafficking, bringing together experts from around the world for discussions. But human rights groups say there's a large gap in the event's coverage. Rhys Ayres reports.
At this conference center in downtown Taipei, hundreds of people are gathered for a 2-day workshop about human trafficking. Hosted by the Interior Ministry, the event invites experts from around the world to talk about the various forms human trafficking takes. This year touching on online scams, forced labor and the organ trade, among other issues. The annual conference follows the release of the US State Department's annual human trafficking report, which evaluates countries on how they're dealing with the issue. This year, Taiwan has again achieved Tier 1 status, which means the US thinks Taipei is making, quote, serious and sustained efforts to eliminate human trafficking. But based on the agenda for this year's workshop, the Taiwan Association for Human Rights believes one big issue is going unaddressed.
在台湾的外籍移工，尤其是外籍的这些远洋渔工，他们就是实际上不断在发生的人口贩运跟强迫劳动的受害者。但是这个议题在这2天的国际工作坊，可以说可能不太被讨论。
The lack of focus on the fishers issue led to a protest outside the workshop venue. But the government says it's a problem they're working on.
我们就通过了渔业与人权行动计划。那么在这个行动计划里面呢，结合各部会以及民间团体啊，那我们做很多的努力。那包括我们鼓励这个远洋渔业者，那么在船上来架设 WiFi。
The most recent US report on human trafficking found that in 2023, Taiwanese authorities identified a total of 282 trafficking victims. That's an almost 20% decrease on the year before. But there have been more cases of foreign nationals being trafficked this year. Just this month, the Taiwan Association for Human Rights reported on a case involving a group of migrant fishers forced to work for 15 months without pay. The association is now calling on the government to better address what it says is the biggest forced labor issue in the country, starting with using events like this one to tackle the most central cases of human trafficking. Alex Chen and Rees in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Japan has issued its highest storm warning as Typhoon Shanshan creeps toward the country's southwest. More than 800,000 people on Kyushu Island and in the central Aichi and Shizuoka prefectures have been ordered to evacuate. Airlines and railways have cancelled their services. Winds and heavy rains brought by Shanshan are expected to lash the country in the coming days. Japan has only issued an alert of this level 3 times before. Over 100 Indonesian civil society organizations have voiced concern over alleged police violence during recent demonstrations in the country. The group signed a letter calling for an investigation after human rights organizations found evidence of excessive use of force by police. They focus on what they say is the police's indiscriminate use of tear gas against peaceful protesters. Widespread demonstrations have broken out in Indonesia in recent days over controversial electoral reforms, with some turning violent. Indonesian police say they are using tear gas according to standard procedures. People in Pakistan are facing mounting unrest after violent attacks by an armed militant group. As Tiffany Wong reports, it's causing tensions to flare in a politically sensitive region.
Mourning those killed by violence in Pakistan. At least 73 people have died in attacks by separatist militants in the country's largest province.
हमारा एक ही सहारा था, हमारा वालिद साहब जो कमा रहे थे, हम घर थे और बड़ी मुश्किल से हमें पता चला। इधर का एक ड्राइवर है जो गया, उसने शिनाख्त किया, उसने हमें ये इतला दिया, फिर हमें पता चला।
ऐसा क्या कोयटे में ऐसा क्या मसला है कि जहाँ से पंजाबी जब जाता है तो वो वापस अपने पाँव पे चल के नहीं आता बल्कि 4 कंधों पे चल के आता है। हमारे लिए तो बहुत बड़ी ये समझ लें कि क़यामत है। हमारे बाप पे जो गुजरी है, मेरी वालदा पे जो गुजरी है, मेरे बहन भाइयों पे जो गुजरी है, मैं आपको बता नहीं सकता क्योंकि मेरे अल्फाज नहीं है बताने के लिए।
The Baloch Liberation Army, or BLA, claimed responsibility for the attacks, mostly targeting Punjabis, who make up the largest ethnic group in the country. The BLA say they want independence for the poor but resource-rich region to prevent its exploitation by outsiders. They're opposing a series of China-led projects, such as a port and a golden copper mine that form part of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. The country's interior minister says the government is working to coordinate a response to the militant group.
सबसे अच्छी बात इस टाइम मुल्क के लिए ये है कि चाहे प्रेसिडेंट हैं, चाहे प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं, चाहे आर्मी चीफ हैं, सब बलूचिस्तान के मुतालिक कंसर्न हैं और इस चीज़ों को सोल्यूशन की तरफ देख रहे हैं और वर्किंग कर रहे हैं।
Sunday's attacks also targeted bridges, highways, and railways, which are essential to keeping the remote region connected with the rest of the country. But continued ethnic attacks may divide the region even more.
तो अगर इस तरह के हालात रहे तो कौन आएगा बलूचिस्तान के अंदर? हम तो नहीं आएंगे भाई, और बंदे भी नहीं आ सकेंगे। हर बंदे का यही व्यूज़ है कि हम नहीं आएंगे भाई। यही हालात है, 2 दिन से फंसे हुए हैं और हालात बहुत ख़राब हैं, इन पे कंट्रोल करना चाहिए।
बिल्कुल खौफ महसूस होते हैं जब ये इधर डाडर से अंदर आते हैं तो ये पहाड़ी इलाके खौफ तो होते ही हमें ड्राइवर लोग, लेकिन हम इकट्ठे ही आते हैं, 2-3 गाड़ियाँ इकट्ठे करके फिर कानवाई में आते हैं। तो ये पता नहीं था कि आगे ये होगा, अभी हुआ है, अभी खड़े हैं, हम क्या करें।
Now, as the decades-long insurgency becomes more violent, people in Balochistan will bear the brunt of the consequences as the government works to restore order to the area. Chris Ma and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan saw a spike in traffic accidents involving children last year. 26,000 accidents involving people under 18 were reported in 2023. That's higher than the recent 5-year average of 23,000 accidents per year. Transportation officials say most of the cases were caused by children running into roads without checking for oncoming traffic. The government plans to produce educational materials on traffic safety to better protect children. In 2019, Taiwan became the first country in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. Despite this progress, young LGBTQ people say they still face social stigma at school and at home. Wesley Lewis has the story.
LGBTQ people in Taiwan say the fight for equality is not over. Musician and transgender rights advocate Rachel has been using her platform to speak out on behalf of her community. Recently, she's noticed more young LGBTQ people attending her shows, and she says many of them have confided their concerns to her.
他们不敢出柜，他们不敢跟家人去坦白。
According to a 2020 survey conducted by the Taiwan Tongzhi LGBTQ+ Hotline Association, 42% of LGBTQ youth reported frequently hearing homophobic comments at school, and 74% reported hearing their teachers make disparaging remarks about a student's gender expression or gender identity. The association says many young people feel discouraged to live freely.
举例来说，来热线参加聚会的青少年同志，很多人都还是没有跟家人说，偷偷摸摸来参加活动。
Many people in the survey also said they feel like they're on their own when it comes to making friends and dating. Taiwan's LGBTQ+ hotline says that they have a system in place to support callers, but activists say when young LGBTQ people call in, they often encounter awkward situations.
譬如说，在调查过程当中，他们会一直不停地追问孩子的性倾向，那孩子其实会非常困扰，他到底要不要讲？就是他爸爸妈妈就在旁边，或许他爸爸妈妈还不知道等等之类的。
As Taiwan's LGBTQ community makes strides in legal protections, young community members are signaling that more needs to be done. The Taiwan Tongzhi LGBTQ+ hotline says they've been working with the government to create what they call a comprehensive sex education policy for young LGBTQ people. They also want more educational resources for people from older generations. There's a clear gap between official policy and the lived experiences of young LGBTQ people in Taiwan, a gap that will narrow with greater understanding and changed attitudes. Patrick Chen and Wesley Lewis for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwanese conservationists and indigenous hunters are teaming up to promote traps safer for the endangered Formosan black bear. Our reporter Saint Chi has the details.
This bear's paw was wounded by a steel trap, the type often used by indigenous hunters in Taiwan to ensnare deer and wild boar.
它就是一个钢环嘛，那动物踩到触发之后，它的环会从地上这样子弹起来，然后就束紧。啊，看说是束到动物的哪一个部位。那如果它今天束到，例如那个腕部的话，它之后血液不循环，那动物越扯它会越紧，然后血液无法流通之后，它的掌部就整个会坏死。
That's what happened to Zeman, a 1.5-year-old male Formosan black bear rescued from a trap last October. Although he was released back into the wild after treatment, he was found dead weeks later. Zeman is just one of 18 bears discovered in traps in Taiwan since 2014. The NGO, Taiwan Black Bear Conservation Association, says 6 of these animals were found dead. To prevent such injuries and deaths, hunters, farmers, and conservationists are collaborating to protect these animals by adopting a new type of trap. This new design can capture smaller prey without tightening to the point of causing severe injury or amputation.
因为它的口径小，熊的手掌很宽，你看这样子踩，它不会完全，除非它踩偏了，弹起来它只会打到这个手指而已，这样子，它不会完全卡到这个手掌上面。
So far, the new snares seem to be working. Footage shows bears getting away unharmed.
我想在帮助宣传，然后更努力一点，让我们的熊更多，也可以让我们的族人更了解这个熊的生活方式，也不要说我们让外人对我们来讲，就是说很刻意的去猎杀它这样子啦。
To date, over 5,600 of these traps have been given away for free in Taiwan. By working together, hunters, farmers, and conservationists may one day remove the Formosan black bear from the endangered species list. Scott Huang and Sunny Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out this weigh-in ceremony and boxing masterclass held in Cuba to celebrate International Boxing Day. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.